Good morning, Honorable Minister, Executive Director, Press Secretary, the media present, to all listening via the radio, Facebook, and television. Splendid Happy New Year to everyone. Indeed, for us, the Ministry of Commerce, it's a pleasure to be here today to bring some hope, further hope, to our micro and small businesses. And as the Permanent Secretary, I'm here just to provide details to some of the information that the Honorable Minister has presented. As the Minister indicated that we are targeting 1,500 micro and small businesses within 4 specific sectors. And as she said, retail, trade and services, we are targeting 700 people. And for retail, trade and services, we are looking at art and craft producers, landscapers, retail shops, barbers, hairdressers, manicure and pedicure practitioners, vendors involved in retail trade. For food and beverage, we are targeting 350, and we are looking at persons in restaurants and bakers. For manufacturing and agro-processors, we are targeting 300, and we are looking at chainsaw and producers of lumber, charcoal producers, honey producers, furniture makers, and other light manufacturing and agro-processing. For construction, we are looking at persons involved in construction, bricks and mortar, mechanics, electricians, and plumbers. And as was indicated, it is very important for us to recognize that it is a micro and small enterprise emergency grant. And we call it emergency grant because we are encouraging our micro and small businesses as they recover from Maria, that they begin to prioritize what they must do first so that they can begin a step-by-step process of reestablishing their business. And so the sum may seem smaller, and we recognize after we've done the analysis with ourselves and the World Bank practitioners, we recognize that everyone will be getting the same amount, and that would be $5,376. One may say this is smaller, but I think if a micro and small business in the areas that we have highlighted prioritize what they need to do first, I think it's a beginning to bring them towards moving forward. And as I always say, we in the Ministry of Commerce, or myself and my staff, we are ready and willing to guide the process. And today, the launching is particularly the beginning of our public awareness, and it's also to highlight the application process. And as the Minister said, the forms are available at the Ministry of Commerce. We'll be going out to put them in the village councils. The staff will explain to all the clerks how the forms must be filled out so that they can give guidance to the people filling them out. And it must be clearly understood that you must meet the requirements before you can fill the application. And the requirements are quite clear, and we have made many copies which we will circulate, and we have given copies to the press who are here. And one of the requirements is that your business must have suffered loss or has been affected by Hurricane Maria. And how we verify that, we have been going around the country soliciting micro and small businesses to do an assessment of their damage. And we have these forms available in the ministry, so it will be an evidence-based document that will reaffirm to us that once you have filled out this form and you're saying, yes, you have suffered damage from Hurricane Maria, we can go into our database and find you. And that form will, if you're not in that database of persons who have registered with us to say that they were damaged, then it means that one of the requirements is not fulfilled, because you need to fill out this survey form that clearly articulates that you have suffered loss or damage from Hurricane Maria. Of course, we welcome, if many people might say, oh, they don't remember, but I'm sure in the age of technology, many people took out photographs. So if they can produce evidence of photographs of the damage sustained, that is also evidence that we will utilize to support the fact that they were damaged through hurricane. We also want to say that the other requirement that is very, very important is that businesses must be registered with the Company and Intellectual Property Office. The government has a special office that is dedicated to ensuring that persons who have business register with the state. And as we say to the micro and small business, it only takes $90 to register the business, and it also helps us too. When they are registered business, we will have a clear database of all our micro and small businesses. So the requirements that are being asked of our micro and small business is nothing tenuous. It's also facilitating them and us, because we will be able to identify where they are as quickly as possible in our database when we have the information. And they too will begin to recognize how serious they need to take their business. Because if you register business with the state and you say you have a small business, you're certainly not going to conduct business anyhow. It will change your mindset to doing things, because the question they will ask you at the Company and Intellectual Office will make you recognize, boy, I really needed to do that, or I need to do something differently. And this is what we want to encourage our micro and small businesses, and we will avail ourselves to encourage them to do those necessary things so that they can comply with the requirements. We also want to say that they must employ between 1 to 20 persons. We know that many micro businesses only employ themselves, and that is another thing sometimes even our micro businesses don't understand, that when they are in business, they have employed themselves, and therefore they must consider themselves an employee of their business. Most times people go into small businesses and they're just doing it for survival, not realizing they must separate their personal expenditure from their business expenditure. And how they address their personal expenditure through the business is that they pay themselves and consider themselves an employee. So we are saying you must employ between 1 to 20. So that should not throw you off, because you have to consider yourself an employee of the micro and small business. So if it's you alone in the business, you are one employee. While you are the owner, you are an employee. The business must have been operational at the time of Hurricane Maria on September 18th. And I'll always remember that date because it was my birthday. And so we want to ensure that you were in business before. Many people will come and say, oh, my business got damaged. And we will ask for evidence that you were in business before. And that we will verify. Again, the certificate of registration will enable us to verify that you were in business before. The banking information that you will be giving to us will enable us to verify that you were in business before. Many people don't separate their banking business. And so these are some of the things that we have been saying to our micro and small businesses. And we are very happy for this emergency grant, because it's giving us an opportunity to reinforce and to get our micro and small business to do some of the things that you were asking them to do. And now they need to do it so that they can benefit from this emergency grant. Okay, special attention will be given to gender, disability, and regional representation. So we have to ensure that the whole of Dominica benefits from this program. And it must just not only be ladies. We have to make sure men benefit. And we have to, so even people who are differently abled or disabled must benefit as well. So we have to go out and ensure that the beneficiaries are far and wide, so that when we are audited and the questions are raised, we'll be able to answer sufficiently that we implemented the program successfully. And we are calling on our micro and small businesses to enable us to do so successfully. And of course, once you receive the grant, the requirement is that you have to sign a letter that you receive the money, and you also have to sign a contract that you are going to stick to the commitment of utilizing the fund for what you have indicated on the application form. All right, so the required documentation, let me repeat again. You will come in, you'll be able to fill an application form. You must submit a copy of an identification. You must submit your certificate of business registration or submission of proof of business banking account, and of course, copy of your Dominica Social Security. And we want to say to our micro and small businesses, do not be afraid of requirements. It's necessary for us to do things proper. And we are available to ensure that all who are able to benefit from the fund will benefit, and we will provide the support necessary. I just want to allow everyone to have an expose on the application form. So I'm going to call on Mr. Stevenson to walk through the form so everybody can understand. So if there are any difficulties, that they will be able to clarify in the question and answer session.